which of Allah's favors can we deny? Above all creatures He chose us to be high. To Him we belong, to Him is our return. Life in this world is only a sojourn. To the angels He commanded that man be respected. Shaitan he did not, and so was he rejected. Compared to the angels, we are but clay. As long as Allah we obey, we'll not go astray.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to our show Islamic Law Today. And as usual, we would like to welcome Professor Muhammad Naem Asaee, the professor in Islamic universities in America and a permanent member in the Fatwa committees in North America. Thank you for being with us. As always, we have to remind our dear viewers that this program is not a Fatwa program. So if you please would like to communicate with us, you can ask us during our third segment, not the first or the second, the third segment, regarding the issues that we are talking about. You can call us at 00202 38555 248 or 249, or you can email us at islamiclawtoday@huda.tv. Professor Muhammad, in the previous episode last week, you mentioned that you noticed the absence of the godly address in the revolutions in Egypt and in general in the Arab countries. What do you mean really about the absence of the godly address?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. اللهم اجعل أعمالنا ونياتنا وأفعالنا كلها خالصة لوجهك الكريم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. أما بعد. As we said before, the godly address or Lord address, we said in Arabic al-khitab al-rabbani. This means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us for a certain mission in this earth, and to help His servants subhanahu wa ta'ala achieve this mission successfully, to be happy in this life and to be safe in hereafter. Allah sent messengers and prophets to enhance and to help in accomplishing this mission. Islam in general has come to combine between your life and its all elements: spirit, soul, mind, heart, how to deal with yourself, with others, starting from your own family, and go beyond that, state to state, government, politics, economy. It's a complete system. And in every aspect in our life, we have the God address. We have the rule, refer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what Allah wants from us as a Muslim, as a servant of Him subhanahu wa ta'ala to do in this specific aspect of life, or maybe this specific step in our life. How to buy, how to sell, how to get married, how even to divorce, how to make a joke, how to make ourselves happy, how to make money, how to spend money. Everything in this life has to come with the compliance with Him subhanahu wa ta'ala, His commandment and His teaching, through His book subhanahu wa ta'ala, or through the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam sayings, or maybe generally speaking through his sunnah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have a system, we have a philosophy, we have a request, we have demand, we have thought in this life. All this has to be framed with the God address subhanahu wa ta'ala, in order to just to be sure that we are going in the right direction toward His pleasant here in this life, toward His manual book in this earth, and toward His acceptance to our deeds in this life and hereafter later on. What we said the other episode, that we have noticed the absence of this God or godly address. We did not see this revolution to be titled or to be colored by this kind of criteria. And there's many reasons for this. If I may just put some fact here in this episode maybe,
Sure.
to make some clarification of this result, of this maybe, I call it natural impact of what happened before. Why we did not see this revolution at the same time what we are seeing right now in other maybe Muslim countries does have the same criteria, the same absence of the Islamic maybe address or God address subhanahu wa ta'ala. What reason of this? I put some fact here to help myself first and to help others to understand why it's going this revolution this way. First of this fact, as all of us we know, Muslim countries were under the different colonies, French, Italian, Britain, and before that Muslim countries were under were within the Ottoman Empire. Ottoman Empire at the last maybe 180 years or 150 years has become to lose its power, lose its spirit, to lose its identity. They start to bring some other maybe laws from different countries rather than going back to the Islamic law. After that, it's become very, very weak. It was very easy for those who they don't like to see Muslims under one umbrella, regardless of the maybe color of this umbrella, but they don't like Muslims to be united. They don't like even Arabs to be united. So they have worked very hard in order to divide Muslims, in order to see the destructions of this unity, to see the destruction of this identity and entity. And this has come even very clearly on the diary of Lawrence of Arabia, that British agent. He said, our mission in Arab Peninsula is mainly is two goals. First one, to see the destruction of unity of this area, and to see the absence of the Ottoman Khilafah. By these two, after they were very indeed serious in these two demands and these two goals, they have successfully achieved these two goals. They divided Muslims countries. They divided Arab people. They started to put the seeds of nationalism and establish a new maybe parties calling for Arab nationalism. We see nationalists in our Arab countries, in Turkey, the same things. So in order to bring this Muslim back to the time of the Jahiliyyah, before Islam, where Arabs they used to refer to their Arab roots, not to anything else. So what happened in that period of Muslims' history, and the French, the British, the Italian, and other maybe colonies, they come to the Arab countries and Muslim countries to put their own seeds, to try to get the best out of these countries and put the worst of them in these countries. After many decades, many years, in different countries, they have decided to leave these Arab countries and Muslim countries. It's what they call it, the independence. The independency of Muslim countries has come after many decades, tens of years of putting a seed to poison the Muslim area, to poison the Muslim mind, to poison the Muslim even belief and thought. And if you remember that in this period of time, Arabs, Muslims, they start to not import their ideas from others. And the hijab itself was affected by this movement, by this wave. Niqab has been removed. Hijab has become like a very old fashion in many areas in Muslim countries, in Arab countries. In the absence of the Muslims' thought, in the absence of the real scholar work in this period of time, it was a free zone for anyone to put his own seed. So after the removal or the leaving or the departure of the colonies in the Muslim countries, Arab countries in general speaking, they have established something to be the alternative. of their presence. It seems to be that they were very successful and put some people behind them. They have very strong connection and relationship with the colonists. So when Britain left maybe Egypt, or maybe France left Lebanon and Syria, and Italy left Libya, and France left maybe Algeria and Morocco and Tunisia, and Aden, the same thing, the Britain, it seems to be that they have left behind them some other people. They are very in belief to what the colonists they were believe at that time. But they start to establish monarchies, to start some kind of maybe republican state. We have different kind of government, different kind of political system in the Arab and Muslim countries. But all of them, they have agreed, except one area, we'll talk about it later on inshallah ta'ala, that it should be the similarity of what is going on in the West. Democracy, yes. Independence, yes. Freedom, yes. But there's no talk about the presence of the Islamic law. To go back to the old time, to have the Muslim state, to have Muslims unity, to have the United States of Muslims, that was very dislikable at that time. Wherever you go in Arab countries, Egypt or Libya or Syria, or even in Gulf countries, this is what was going on and is still going on till this time. What happened to the system being put instead of the colonies in our Muslim countries, Arab countries? They separate between the religious leaders, religious maybe leadership, and politics leadership. In one country alone, in Saudi Arabia, they made this kind of agreement that the religious leadership to support the politics leadership, and politics leadership to support religious leadership.
Yes.
What being known a long time ago in the 18th century between Muhammad Abu Wahab and Muhammad ibn Saud at that time.
Yes.
But the rest of the Muslim countries and other countries, they don't have this at all. But they have the separation between state and religion, the separation between Islam as a law, as a complete system, and the aspect of life. They put it in a very small corner, like in a divorce, and in a marriage, inheritance, something like this. And at the same time, they have put aside the Muslim scholars. They established the Ministry of Awqaf. They established maybe the Committee of Fatwa. But that was something to help, to support the political system at that time. This kind of the absence of the Islamic law, the absence of Muslim scholars, the absence of the Islamic thought and understanding has pushed very in legitimate way the Muslims thinkers, the Muslims du'at, to fill that gap. As we said before, Muslim Brotherhood, they found that they have no choice but to have to do something. Other maybe Muslims groups and parties, they have to put their hand into fill that gap of the absence of the Muslim thought as Islam is good for our life, Islam is a complete system. So all this has driven the Muslim countries and Muslim people to be the receptions of many parties, to many ideas, many ideologies. After all of this happened, we found the Muslim mind is being bombarded by all these different thought, philosophies, ideologies, parties, Muslim groups, till you cannot find in one Muslim country that all of them, they have one idea or maybe one ideology, or to come all of them as 100% or maybe 90% that they are with this thought or that understanding. At the same time, others, they don't have even Islamic thought. They put their seed in that gap. So it become at the end is a very mixed recipe to
Yes.
create unclear, to create a very confused Muslim mind in the Muslim countries, in Arab countries. So the absence of Muslim scholars, absence of Islamic law, this kind of confusion in the Muslims' mind, and if you add to that these kind of corruptions coming as a result of all these maybe systems, whether it was monarchies or maybe republican system or maybe emirs or mashayikh or anything like this, all these corruptions that money is at the hand of few group of people, this kind of spreading what they call it, the impact of losing your sense of defining yourself as a Muslim and differentiation between what is lawful, what is unlawful in your society, till you reach a point that you are living together. Now, if you go in the Haram area, in the Faisal Street, you can see casinos standing side by side with mosques.
Yes.
Right? You have in Muslim countries this kind of phenomenon. As we said before, we are living together. We are accepting this kind of a new maybe phenomenon in our Muslim countries, away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pleasant, away from Rasulullah alayhi salam authorities. We are living together. Falsehood with the truth, and unlawful with lawful.
Inshallah, we will continue, because I have a question for you. Inshallah, we will go to a quick break and we'll come back, so please stay with us.
Which of Allah's favors can we deny? Above all creatures, He chose us to be high.
You have questions that bother you. What about issues of concern to you? Would you like to share things on your mind with us? Are you interested in solutions based on an Islamic perspective? Please join me live in Meet Your Advisor every Friday at 9 p.m. Mecca time, here on Huda TV.
How to be proactive in Islam, how to serve our religion, how to serve our life.
No, we want them to be proactive in matters that are related to their ummah, the true leader. And this is, maybe we need to have this, okay, among us as Muslims. The true leader is the one who creates leaders.
So the society at the time of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, gave the chance for the children to blossom.
Now, who took the reward of this? The initiative of Ali bin Abi Talib. Ali bin Abi Talib took the reward because of his initiative.
How long have you been passive? How much time have you lost in your life because of negativity? Learn how to take conscious control over your life. Set your goals and work to achieve them in an Islamic way.
If you really love your wife, your children, your parents, your people, then you have to do your utmost. You have to do whatever you can in order to invite them to Islam. We are in need for this reminder. The main point is ikhlas, is sincerity, is what I want to get in the hereafter.
Join Sheikh Haytham Al-Haddad and his host, Muhammad Abdurrahim, in this inspiring show.
Which of Allah's favors can we deny? Above all creatures, He chose us to be high.
Welcome back. Professor Muhammad, I have a question that related to what you mentioned before we went to break. Now you said that the absence of the godly address in the revolution, and that in this revolution there was many ideologies, and the Muslim Ummah or the Arab Ummah in general was bombarded by different ideologies and different thoughts, while in the absence of the Islamic, let's say, the Islamic movement. Don't you think that, because they mentioned that when you have an ummah or a nation that is full of different ideologies and different thoughts and different movement, that enrich this society in general, and at the same time, I believe that I'm talking about the Egyptian revolution, that it gives the opportunity to the Muslim scholars and the Islamic movement to participate in this revolution and be a part of this, and they can work on this matter?
Yes. Well, we have to say that positiveness is a fundamental criteria of the Islamic thought. Will never be negative. Anything happens in our life, as the Prophet mentioned, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, عَجَبًا لِأَمْرِ الْمُؤْمِنِ إِنَّ أَمْرَهُ كُلَّهُ لَهُ خَيْرٌ. Everything happened to ourselves as individual, Muslims individual, or Muslim ummah, has to be in a good way, has to be treated, has to be understood, has to be activated in a positive way. Islam does not accept someone just to sit back and watch and just maybe condemn something or maybe stand against something he did not agree on it, and that's it. We have always to be positive. But before just to reach that point in our Islamic thought and how the Islamic thought should be activated with the result of this revolution, we have to say that different ideologies, different ideas, different parties can be good and positive things. When you have one foundation, when you have a fundamental, a solid foundation to be the common ground of all of this. But when someone is going against others, when someone believes that he is right and others is wrong, when someone is accusing his opponent, that creates a confusion. And that's what was going on, and it's still going on, practically, not theoretically, not by statement, but by someone. But as we lived within these atmospheres, within these waves, we have seen fighting within Muslims' ideas and ideologies and thought. We have seen some, they call it the Cold War between these different groups, who is able to have more control at the expense of others. But Muslims in general, and maybe people in general, how to be able to gather all of them and to provoke all of them and to unite all of them, to enable them to move, to see the removal of the oppression and aggression and unjust maybe regime. You have to have very united message. You have to have very clear message. You have to have very simple message. We don't have these three elements yet. What the Egyptian youth were able to do, because they have these three elements, they were able to unite the whole Egyptian people in a very clear message, very simple. They have very clear demands. They want democracy. They want freedom. They want justice. Right?
Yes.
So that was enough for the common people to have this common ground among all people they share in this revolution. So they stood together. And you can even differentiate between this one and another one. While they have different ideologies or different maybe background, Muslims, even non-Muslims, they were together, right?
Yes.
Could they have this kind of clear and very simple and very unique message to gather all of this. Now, what happened in Egypt as a revolution, as a result, we have a fiqh, Islamic law rule, or maybe base. We can see it in English. Even sometimes it's very hard to translate fiqh base or rules into English, but I will try my best inshallah ta'ala. إذا حصل مطلوب الشرع بغير ما يتفق معه فإنه لا يزال. If anything happened does match what Islamic law authorize or agree on, or want or accept, but in different method, which is not considerable from the Islamic law, this result should not be removed. Should stay.
Yes, that's very
But the
clear.
application of Islamic law should come to try to shape and reshape this result with its philosophy and its rules and its identity. The revolution in Egypt happened, and it did result in the removal of that regime, the oppression, injustice. No one should work to step back and go back to the old days and say, I will not accept this result because it did happen without the authorization of the Islamic law. We should accept this result, but we should now reshape it. We should title it. We should work on it. How to work on it, how to reshape this result, how to activate the Islamic law after the result of this revolution. This is the work of the Islamic law and its people. Inshallah, this could be, inshallah, the next episode.
Inshallah. Now that opened the door for me to ask you this question, because I noticed that the Islamic movement in Egypt during the revolution, they didn't want to give any Islamic slogans during the revolution, and they said we have to, we should not steal this momentum from the people who made this revolution, and we wait till this revolution succeed, and then we can apply our applications and give this chance, which is, I think, according to this rule that you mentioned, it's acceptable. The different thing that I want to mention, when you said that this rule, would that contradict the point of view of some Muslim scholars regarding these revolutions? Because some of them, they say that protesting against the ruler is innovation, it's a bid'ah. And the khuruj al-hakim, to being against the ruler, and so on.
Good. All right. I think this is 2 points here. First point, what you said before, Jazakallahu khairan, the opinion of someone suggesting that the absence of the Islamic slogan and the Islamic demand was intentionally taken place as a smart step to keep the revolution and keep its strength and its power and to reach its end. I don't agree with that. With all my respect to all Muslim groups, all Muslim parties, all Muslim workers, scholars and du'at, all of them, I respect all of them, and I evaluate their work, their effort through all these years. But I disagree for a very simple reason. What I see in Egypt, what I see in all Muslim countries right now, we don't have this kind of strength and this kind of spirit among Muslims in general to bring them together to the Islamic idea. Because the reason I have mentioned before in the first segment, we don't have this kind of simple and strong and clear message coming through one maybe entity to represent the whole Muslims. Imagine that if we had before the Egyptian revolution, that all Muslims in Egypt, they were represented by their scholars and their Muslim du'at. They were having one committee, one entity to represent the whole Muslim people in Egypt. What happened in Iran without agreeing on the Iran example or experience from their belief. We have different belief, we have different thought, we have different understanding, different philosophy. But an example, these people, they were able to gather all Iranian people, the majority of them, in one message. They were gathering all of them to the removal of the Shah and to come back to the Shiite school of thought. They don't have these different ideologies or ideas or parties. Imagine that if Muslims in Egypt or Libya or Syria or Yemen or somewhere else, they are one unity, they have one body, they are one entity, represented by one group of people. They are representing all of them, scholars and Muslims, du'at, they call for Islam, Muslim thinkers, all of them, they have one body to represent their people. At that time, they said, we have one message to represent our people. Our people Imagine that they are talking this way. Scholars, du'at, thinkers, all these people, they represent the Islamic way of life. They said, we are talking on behalf of the Muslim people of Egypt or Libya or Syria. All of us talking in one tongue, in one heart, in one mind. Our demand is 1, 2, 3, 4. They will be able to do the same thing the Egyptian revolt they did. But the absence of this one voice and a clear message, strong, and the simplicity of it, that was the reason of having this revolution without titling it of the Islamic way. And I believe that Muslims, parties, groups, and jama'at, they found themselves that they have no choice but to be within this wave, not to go over it, not to try to be recognized by themselves, to be distinguished by their own logos. I believe, this is my own belief, that they have no choice but to be within the wave, to be able to have the result of it. Now, after what happened now, how to be positive? I would like to take this opportunity to salute all Egyptian youth and other youth and other people in everywhere in these Muslim countries or these Arab countries or everywhere. They were standing for a very legitimate Islamic demand. I would like to salute all of these people. Whoever have died for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, may Allah have mercy on him. May Allah accept his deed. Because these people, these young people, they were really affected in our heart. They were astonishing us. We were touched by them. We were touched by their seriousness, by their effort. We did cry. We did make sujood lillah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are with them minute by minute and second by second. So we have to reserve this right to these people. As a result right now, how to activate, how to reshape this revolution by the Islamic thought, by the Islamic law, this is our work. That will be next episode, inshallah. The second point they said about some scholars from different maybe countries, they were having different stand toward this revolution. They were standing against it from the beginning. And they said this is fitna, this is bid'ah, this is innovation, and this represent what they call it in the Islamic law, al-khuruj al-hakim, going against the ruler, or overthrowing the ruler. And this is unanimously, according to them, is unacceptable. We have to give some details about these three, maybe evidence or way of supporting their opinion. First of all, when they say demonstration is a bid'ah, we go back to the definition of bid'ah, the Islamic law. And all of us, the definition of bid'ah. All of us, we agreed that not everything happened after him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after his time, should be considered as an acceptable thing. Not every innovation happened after him, unless this innovation is regarding the establishment of new worship or act of worshipping. If you are adding, you are taking away some of the worshiping has been established already in his time, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you are adding to your belief or taking from your belief, so whether that was a section of ibadat, section of mu'amalat, or section of maybe belief, you are adding something it did not have the acceptance or the legitimacy from the Islamic law. Now you are innovating something unacceptable in Islamic law. But if you are bringing something new, it did not happen in his time, did not exist in his time, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but within the frame of the Islamic fundamental thought, fundamental thinking, fundamental rules of Islam, that should not be rejectable things, should not be dislikable things, should be acceptable. And very famous example, when the Sahaba, they were thinking to gather the papers of Al-Qur'an Al-Kareem in one book, and one textbook. It was something new to them. Qur'an was not this way in his time, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And Sayyidina Zayd, he was supporting his rejection by saying, how should I do something he did not do it, sallallahu alayhi wasallam? كيف أفعل شيئا لم يفعله رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم? How could I do something he did not do it? The same, maybe, yes, concept. So the Sahaba, Sayyidina Umar Khattab, Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, they said, well, this is something good for the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they refer to the fundamental understanding of this Islam, the fundamental usul, they call it the Islamic law, rules and basics to support what you are going to do. And they did. They gathered the whole Qur'an in one textbook, even it did not happen in his time, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So the first point, demonstration.
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you. We have to go to a quick break. I would like to remind our viewers that they can communicate with us at 00202 38555 248 and 249. And we will be waiting for your call in the last segment. So please stay with us.
Which of Allah's favors can we deny? Above all creatures, He chose us to be high.
In your standpoint of view, are there specific or certain criteria to choose your spouse or a partner, to marry or not to marry? Maybe that's the question. Do we revise the quality of performance of our treatment between the family members as fathers or mothers? As they say usually, it's not what you say, it's how would you say it. Wouldn't you like to be a good storyteller for your kids? Neurobiologically speaking, child abuse and emotional trauma causes scars in the brain of the child, and this might be not easily healing. What's the exact job description of a father? Is it clothing, payments and feeding, or other important things? Well, I think the job description of a father is merely giving him love and care, self-confidence, giving him sense of security, and checking for the points of strength to stress on them. What about potty training and its planning? Oh yeah, actually, it's a state, it's a condition. Fatherhood is not a body or a person, it's a state. Are you a good or skillful designer for the policy and the long-term plans of the life of your kids? Join us every Wednesday for Family Issues.
Dear viewers, Hoda programs can be watched in the English section of the in-flight entertainment directory on board all Saudi airline flights, domestic and international. Sit back, relax and enjoy watching Hoda's entertaining and enlightening shows on your trip. Hoda wishes you a safe and successful journey. Hoda, a light in every home.
Which of Allah's favors can we deny? Above all creatures, He chose us to be high.
Welcome back. Professor Muhammad, before we went to the break, you mentioned an example about that in the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the companions, they had to do something that he didn't do, like collecting the Qur'an. And this is a good example to show that as long as the bid'ah or the innovations has nothing to do with the act of worshipping or the ruler of relationship with others, is not supposed to be considered as bid'ah or negative bid'ah. Let me ask you, what is the Islamic law perspective regarding the protesting? Is there rules to have a demonstration? Is there conditions for this demonstration, or it's just something that never happened before, so we don't have any kind of rules for it?
This is going under the section of contemporary issues in Islamic law. When you don't have something happen on the time of legislation of Islam in his time, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and scholars, they did not talk about this long time ago, like in the time of the A'immah, Shafi'i, Malik, Abu Hanifa. So we have something new. The same thing when we have any kind of a new incident happen in the Muslim life, need an answer. We always say that Islamic law does have an answer for anything happens in our time, according to the Islamic rules, Islamic fiqh, Islamic fundamental issues. always we have the ability to apply the Sharia on these contemporary issues to find out what is the answer for this contemporary issue. Is it valid, invalid? Is it wrong? Is it right? Is it lawful, unlawful? So as we said, definition of the bid'ah does not go unmatching with what these scholars they said, because this is something new happened. Is it the way of expressing your opinion, expressing your feelings? And we said before that Muslim scholars, they should be the leader of this. What our comment on this, that Muslim scholars, if they are not in the front to direct this demonstration, we might be having some reservation on this new way of advising the ummah, advising the ruler, ad-din al-nasiha. So it's like a shape or new shape or method of advising the ruler, advising the ummah, advising ourselves through mutual effort, instead of being individually happen. That happens in a group, happens in the big numbers of people, led by the big scholars, grand muftis, leading these demonstrations. So in general, you cannot say that demonstration is wrong or is unlawful, because it is like something that did not happen before. Yes.
Which will lead me to a question from Idris in Nigeria. What's the ruling concerning a person who abuse or insult our scholars? Because you spoke about the scholars, so maybe this question is fitting.
Yeah, we have to differentiate between insulting scholars and disagreeing with scholars. We have to disagree with them with respect, but we don't have to insult them when we are disagreeing with them. And this is the one of the way to revive Islam, how to be disagreeing with someone and with being polite with them. I call everyone to be polite when he is disagreeing with someone, and especially our Muslim scholars. So we say that, no, we don't agree with them, with all my respect. This is the way of Muslim scholars, inshallah ta'ala.
Inshallah. We have a question from Muhammad. She's asking you, do you think the ruler was so important reason in our history to be successful or non-successful ummah?
Definitely. And the example of this answer, as I said before, this ummah can be measured by two elements, by its scholars and its princes, or maybe presidents or kings, or anything who is governing his people. If scholars and the rulers are in good shape with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are very pleased with their people are very pleased with them, the Muslim ummah in good shape. If you have the opposite condition, the opposite status, that means the ummah in very bad shape. If you don't have good scholars, you have scholars just serving the interest of the rulers, you don't have good rulers, they are just serving their own interest. They are not pleased with their people, they have mistreated them, they have some kind of bad relationship with their people. People are not happy with their rulers. They don't make dua for them, as the Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that means that you have a very bad condition in the ummah not in good condition. Now, the issue of going against rulers, I have to say this in this episode, inshallah ta'ala. If I have enough time just to maybe conclude it very briefly. The issue of going against rulers, some Muslim scholars, some of them in good intention, some of them, I don't know, Allah knows subhanahu wa ta'ala, they have put this issue in a section of faith and belief, bringing it from its original section, which is the Islamic law, the section of mu'amalat, where you are dealing with others, and specifically under the book of Bugha. Al-Bughat, those they are going against the ruler, they have some kind of excuse from Islamic point of view to go against that ruler. They don't accept him as a just ruler, and they are armed people. They go against him with arm. They go against him with power, and their demand is to remove him and bring back the real and the true Islamic rule to their country, to their own people. They call it in the Islamic law the Book of Bugha, and they have specific rules. But this originally in the section of Muamalat and within the Islamic law, not in the section of faith or belief. Why this group of scholars, they bring it from its section, original section, and put it in the section of faith, and they give it a title of the belief of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. They said, اعتقاد, the belief of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, that you cannot go against your ruler, and you have to show patience toward them, even if they are unjust, even if they are aggressor, they are oppressor. You have to show patience, and this is the part of the belief of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. This is a very wrong doing, and I could say this is a very false doing. It is not part of the faith. It is part of the Islamic law section. And I did put that issue in my book, Al-Qanun, just to explain that issue in a very detailed way, in a very comprehensive way, to show that this is its section, and the purpose of having this issue in the section of belief, that to close the door against people, against Muslim scholars, to think even to change the corrupted government, corrupted maybe rulers, and just to let these people live decade after decade, ruling their people and unjustly, without having any legitimacy from the Islamic law itself, because if someone did the opposite of this, he will be accused by going against the belief of the Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. No, it is not this way.
Could be the reason why they were against, the Muslim scholars are against this type of people, because they are armed, or not because they are against the ruler?
No, in Egypt they were not armed.
No, I'm talking about, yes, this is what I know, that in Egypt they were not armed, but the fatwa itself, or the concept itself in the Muslim scholars' mind,
yes,
in this title, the Al-Bugha, they took it as an faith because they were armed, so they are confused between the armed protesters and unarmed protesters?
No, because they said that we have three different cases for this issue. When you are allowed to go against your ruler, from Islamic point of view,
yes,
you have one case. All Muslim scholars from all schools of thought, they agree that it's legal, it's lawful to go against your ruler. You have one case. We have another case, unanimously, you cannot go against your ruler. We have the third case when they have difference among themselves. So when someone tried to make all the three cases or three conditions as one case, one condition, he's doing very false doing.
I see.
And he is not giving the Islamic law or delivering the Islamic law in a trustworthy way.
I see.
The first condition, when unanimously they agree that you are allowed to go against your ruler, when your ruler is not applying the Islamic law.
And it's everywhere.
Or your ruler is changing the fundamental issues in Islam. Imam al-Nawawi, rahmatullah, he mentioned all these issues. Al-Hafiz ibn Hajar, all other Muslim scholars, they mention, Ibn Hazm, they mention all of this. They have unanimous agreement among themselves as Muslim scholars. When the Muslim rulers are not applying the Sharia, when he is taking some of the fundamental issues in Islam, like an example, when in Tunisia, Bourqiba, he said he banned the marrying more than one wife. He said it's illegal, it's unlawful. When he banned for people working to fast in Ramadan, this is something he's changing the Sharia, he's changing the fundamental issues in Islam.
Yes.
Muslims can say unanimously, you are allowed to go. But when you are allowed to go, when it's must to go, when you have representative of these Muslim people by their own scholars, they said it's time to go against that ruler right now, because we found out that it's a good time to do it right now. If they said no, it's not a good time, you cannot go against the ruler. So they have some conditions here. But the second case, when the Muslim ruler is applying the Sharia, and he is very just ruler, unanimously said it's haram, it's unlawful to go against your ruler. So if you are coming back now to our contemporary issue now, Egyptian revolution, when someone said this is demonstration represent going against ruler. Which ruler are you talking about? Hosni Mubarak?
Yeah.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive all of us.
Allahumma ameen.
Was he applying the Sharia?
We will answer this question inshallah maybe next week bi'Iznillah. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for today. I would like, before we leave, to thank Professor Muhammad Naem Asaee for being with us today and share with us his knowledge. Please, you can communicate with us through our email, islamiclawtoday@huda.tv. We would like to hear from you, your suggestions and your questions. And to the next week, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Which of Allah's favors can we deny? Above all creatures, He chose us to be high. To Him we belong, to Him is our return. Life in this world is only a sojourn. To the angels He commanded that man be respected. Shaitan he did not, and so was he rejected. Compared to the angels, we are but clay. As long as Allah we obey, we'll not go astray. As the best of His creation, only us did He deem. This for us is honor, this high esteem. His qudrat it is that cause winds to blow. He gives us provision so that we may grow.